Hi, everybody. Welcome to PoliTarology. It is Mardi Gras, so I am honoring Mardi Gras with my little headpiece. And welcome, and here we go. Okay, so for tonight, we have Shari from Voices from the Swamp. We have Marina from Heart Centered Tarot, Cleo the Seer, and David, who is brave enough to come on with all of those wild chicks from Tarot by the Bay. I advertised that we would have Sheila on, but she has been called away to actually do work. Imagine somebody who actually has to work. So we will have her on at another time. I'm sorry if that disappoints people, but we will have her on for another PoliTarology. Don't worry. So we're going to go around the circle and everybody can tell us what's going on their channel and what's coming up for them and like that. So Shari, you want to kick us off?
Okay. Let's see. I've got shows all weekend. I'm going blank. Saturday afternoon is the Mardi Gras party that I'm throwing for Dr. Ann because she's in New Zealand and has never experienced Mardi Gras before.
Oh,
so I was like, well, we can't have that. We got to have a party. That's just no excuses there. And then Monday I have Lori from The Way of Positive Change coming on.
Nice.
And then I'm going to be a guest on Terry Lee's channel. And then Monday night is Draining the Swamp with Arthur and Mel. And just a bunch of stuff after that. I don't know. There's something like every day almost.
Wow.
I think actually Mardi Gras Day is the only day I don't have anything scheduled. I think I'll sleep that day.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Marina, hi. How are you? Tell us what's going on for you.
I am great. Big announcement that I had yesterday is I'm starting a new course. It is a 30-day course called Achieving the Union. And it sounds like a long time, but 30 days is enough to build a good habit. And it will involve a short 5-6 minute video that I'll download every day. And then there's a little bit of homework that goes with it. And the intention is for you to get more in touch with your higher self, with your spirit and so on. How to recognize when spirit is talking to you versus the noise that's around.
Wow. Very helpful.
So very, very excited about that. And hoping I will be launching that on March 1st. We'll also have weekly get-togethers to discuss progress, answer any questions, and so on. And yeah, if you want to know what I'm up to, just go to my channel, go in the community tab. I generally over the weekend, I will post what I'm doing every day for the week ahead. So you can, it's kind of like the old-fashioned TV guide, remember? Where you used to take a highlighter and go, oh, I need to see it. Yeah, there you go. That's what you could do. So yeah, that's what's new with me.
Great.
I keep saying I'm gonna do that every week, and I never get around to it.
Overachievers. Cleo, hi. I haven't talked to you in a while. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What's going on?
Well, first I want to say that what Marina's doing with that new thing in March 1st, that's very cool. I love it that you're doing that. And so many people ask those kind of questions of, how do I do all this? And I just love it that you're doing that. So what I got going on is Monday, I have the Mystic Fore. And Thursday, I have a show with you, Colleen, and Marina. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
And then next Friday, another PoliTarology. So that's about it for now.
Okay, that sounds really good. And David, welcome back. I'm so glad we didn't scare you off the first time.
Oh no, it was a blast the first time.
Great, that's great. So tell us what's happening with your channel and what's going on with you.
Staying the course, throwing up videos every day. About a month or so ago, I started a second channel called Tarot of the Seven Seas, which focuses on international readings, mostly based in the EU. And I put up one video a night over there and 2 on my main channel. Next week, Marina and I have our Taco Tuesday, our bi-weekly political tarot session in Snarkfest. And
Yes.
that usually goes for about an hour or so. But other than that, just keeping on.
Great. Sounds fantastic. Well, I hope I'm not repeating anything that I said before. I'm going to be joining Shari for a little tiny portion of her Mardi Gras show. I do have people coming to do a circle for the new moon tomorrow night, so I'm not going to be able to stay very long. Sunday, we're doing Reveal the Future, and we're going to have Kevin Chandler. Marina's going to join us for that. Cleo's going to be on there, and also Val. And then next Thursday, as Cleo already said, we're on Marina's channel to talk about stuff. And then we have another PoliTarology. And yeah, so like that. So all good stuff. So, okay. Well,
Good week.
Without further ado, I am going to bring up my New York Times headlines. I have to get ready for this. Here we go. So here we go. So in the New York Times, I just pull a bunch of headlines that are topical. I focus on political headlines. I also do a search for congressional headlines and SCOTUS headlines. And if I still don't have enough, I look for government headlines. But today I had plenty in all the categories. So the first question is, who will replace Ronna McDaniel as leader of the RNC? And the article that I read in the New York Times proposes that her second, who is Mr. McKissick, who is the current co-chair, is a runner for, in the running for that position. But also there's a Mr. Whatley. So Mr. Whatley is the chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. He ran for the chairmanship last year and did not win. Ronna beat him out. And Mr. McKissick, I don't think ran, but he has made it clear that he's very keen to become the new chairman. So the question is, do we think Mr. McKissick will take the chair? Or will it be somebody entirely different? Because, DJT is really running the Republican Party. So if he likes, Tim Scott, he'll be the guy. Who knows?
Yeah.
So if anybody's already ready, they can go ahead and start.
Well, I feel like I haven't really paid much attention to this, but I did see that she was stepping down. And I'm wondering why. Why did she step down? Is it because the Republican Party is in such disarray that she was just given up, or what? And how much influence does this person? What are they called? The head of it, or the chairman?
The chairman of the RNC. Well, the money for the RNC has run out, and it's really kind of not her fault, all of it. But apparently they claim she's mismanaged the money. But part of the reason they've run out of money is that they were paying Donald Trump's legal bills up until last December. And so now they're acting like, well, she didn't run it very well. Well, come on, guys. And also, I think she made some statements recently in the news that people went, oh my gosh, they're clutching their pearls because she's saying things that only boys are allowed to say. So I think, well, it's true. And I think they're really just coming down on her. David, do you have anything to add to that? About Ronna? Is that, have I represented that pretty well?
I think you've represented it really well. The other thought that comes to mind was, remember how Trump was playing her up about 3 or 4 weeks ago, right around the time of the Iowa caucuses. And you'll see him, he's been doing it with a number of people. And Ronna McDaniel was throwing out some comment, because people were asking, are you going to be the VP? And she goes, oh, I would love to serve as his VP pick. And I really think that Trump is having his apprentice moment. He's probably offered it to Tim Scott, Ronna McDaniel, Kristi Noem, and whoever else, to see who will twist themselves into a bigger pretzel for him. I think with Ronna McDaniel, her suspending that money to pay for Trump's legal bills is why she has now fallen out of favor. And she probably did it for the right reason. They don't have enough money to do it, and he's got a pack and he grifts. So he's allegedly a billionaire. So pay for it your damn self, and that's enough to get you fired.
Yes. So given that, Cleo, does that help flesh out the situation a little bit?
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
So does that change what you're thinking, or do you have
It
any?
doesn't really change what I'm thinking.
It's like, who's the most corrupt person of the two? That's the one you should choose.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And like I said, I mean, how much does this affect anybody? I mean, when they get a new person, is the Republican Party suddenly going to be better? No. You know, they are in such a mess that I don't suppose it really matters who heads that up, who the chairman is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, literally, it's going to be who gives Trump the better deal.
Yeah.
And that's who's going to tell him to select as that.
And I
So
could have sworn that I read
Jesus.
something in the last couple of days that she was being investigated for something. Perhaps it has to do with the money. I'm not sure. I threw 2 cards on it just to see what would come out. I got the Page of Pentacles followed by Judgment.
yeah,
So
they're definitely judging her.
yeah, they're judging her, and they've got a choice to make, and it's the lesser of 2 evils. I don't know. You go to Tweedledee or Tweedledum.
Yeah, that's it.
Which one are you gonna pick?
That's it. All right, David, what do you got?
Okay. I didn't ask specifically about the person. I asked, describe to me who he'll pick and why. And I got the 10 of coins as the signifier card. So it's all about bringing in the money and showering the money around. Now, the Republican candidates will be the ones who are the last ones that are going to get it. Donald Trump's going to get the lion's share. But don't forget, you know, a bird needs to dip its beak into the water too here. This money is going to be ill-gotten. And probably, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if, again, the little bird's skimming a little bit, 10% off the top for themselves here. It's almost like, get the money, and I don't care how you get it. If you can get a hold of the Russian oligarchs or to funnel money through the NRA or something like that, I don't care so long as you get it and you give some to Trump. What's interesting is that I don't think any of the candidates are ideal. There's offers going out here, and either the people don't want it or they can't deliver. And we got the 3 of Wands. So really, I think to me, what they're looking for is overseas money. The money in the U.S. is not say dried out, but Donald Trump already has all that money. So they need to figure out a way to get money from overseas into the RNC. Got the Chariot card underneath. So this is going to be an ongoing process. They may not pick right away. They may keep weighing candidates if these first 2 candidates aren't in exactly what Trump is looking for. Where was I going to go with this? The overseas money. You know what it's reminding me of? Trump with his NFTs. Those little pictures of him as a muscular cowboy and an astronaut and stuff like that. It would be like if the RNC had NFTs to get money in from foreign governments to get around campaign finance laws. That's it. You know, getting creative. It's sort of like that. They're going to try and figure out a way to replenish the Russian NRA flow, because that's all stopped up. So I don't know which one of it is. Maybe neither of them, but that's kind of what he's looking for.
Yeah. And Marina, before I let you go, Valerie Woodford in the chat, Woodford, she reminded us that there's a recording of a phone call that Trump and Rana were on, where they were trying to convince, who were they trying to convince? Monica Palmer and William Hartman, 2 GOP canvassers for Michigan's Wayne County, which includes Detroit, to reject the certification minutes after they attended a canvassers meeting. So they were trying. So this was back in December of, when was it? I don't know. It's probably 2020.
22. Yeah.
So that's how her downfall started. But what a schlemiel Trump is. If he disses her, isn't she gonna roll over on him?
He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. With him, it's all about the money. The funny thing is that I do see a female. I get the Queen of Cups. I do see a female taking over that position. And if there's 2 men in the running, I don't know where the female comes from, but it almost feels like the guys are sitting back, and yes, they would like to do this, but then they're approached by someone who suggests that maybe they might want to step aside for whoever this female is. I also get the hangman, which is yet they're going to be encouraged to see things from a different perspective. And if this is somebody who can bring in cash, it could be someone like MTG. You know, I know. It's I need to go and take a shower now, but yeah, that's kind. It's that kind of energy.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah, she's approached him and said, "Hey, you need cash? I got the cash. I can bring it in."
Yeah, and MTG is a known good fundraiser. She does do that. But this is the national stage, just not Georgia. So I don't know. I just get that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be McKissick or the other guy. I'm with you. I think it's going to be someone completely different.
Yeah.
That, if Trump could appoint Walton Auda, he would. I mean, that's where his head is at. He just wants somebody who's loyal to him, gonna grab a lot of money and, give it back to him. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right. I just feel like I need a shower already.
Yeah.
Just creepy. Okay.
Totally.
All right. So on to question number 2. So, Robert Hur, special counsel, had to do an investigation into Biden's classified documents, just like I guess Jack Smith had to do one into Donald Trump. Is that what he was doing initially? Yep. So he wrote up a report and blamed it on Biden's, basically old age, lack of memory, getting doddering. And Kamala Harris took a peek at it and said, no, that's a political hit job. That is not at all what happened. And what she really said was the way the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just bleh. Okay. So will there be any more repercussions about this classified document slip up on Biden's part, or is this report the end of it? Or, is there a way?
Can I add a little something to that? I read earlier that I don't remember now which news agency it was, but they were reminding the readers that when Biden did this interview for these documents, it was like over 8 hours, 2 days in a row. And it was right in the middle of the Israel-Hamas stuff that had just started.
Yes.
So he was dealing with that, dealing with Netanyahu, dealing with some BS happening down at the border right at that moment.
Yep.
And they're in there asking him questions like, well, what day was it that your son Bo died? Like, what the hell does that have to do with all of that?
And why are they waiting 18 months to talk to him about this?
Exactly.
What in the hell, man? I mean,
but they were evidently asking him some really off the wall questions that had nothing to do with what he was there for,
Right. Right.
It was intentional. It was intentional. It was designed to make him look bad. It was that offhanded, compliment. Is there going to be additional fallout? I don't think that there's going to be additional fallout, except that the Republicans are going to make they're going to have a field day with this about the fact that, he doesn't remember, and, we can't take him to court because he would be too sympathetic to the journey or to the jury, as being an old man who's forgetful. And you know what? I think to that I have to say, okay, well, let's look at his competition. Let's look at Trump, who thinks that Biden is going to start World War II and that he won against Obama.
Yeah.
And that, Nikki Haley was in charge on January 6th. So, let's be careful, before we start pointing fingers about who's lost their marbles. But the GOP are going to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't think that there's going to, other than the GOP mouthing off. Biden came out and addressed the situation and was very clear and angry about what they had said about his son, and that his didn't remember that. He also, he said his memory is fine, and he's addressed it. So I think that since he came right out from the very start and addressed this, I don't think that they're going to go anywhere with it. But it's just another way to make him look bad. They have jumped all over him for everything, even when he won Nevada. He wins Nevada. He wins New Hampshire. He just, when he wins all these things, instead of focusing on that he did win it and by a huge margin, because there was hardly anybody, I don't know who the people were running against him, but they don't emphasize that. They want to talk about whatever he's done wrong. They don't want to emphasize what he's done for the economy. They don't want to emphasize what he's done to bring back the economy from a pandemic. They're in the job situation, how much better the jobs are and stuff. They're just going to try to make him look bad. And this is not just Republicans. This has been going on all along, and it's from foreign interference as well as the Republicans, and they're just encouraging it. So just everybody, don't even pay attention to that nonsense, because Joe Biden's doing just fine. Does he make some errors as an elderly person? He does, but they're never critical. They're just, like walking on stage. Yeah, no, trying to figure out which way he's going to go. Just like what I do when I wander into the kitchen and go, what the hell did I come in here for?
Exactly. You have to go back to the room you were in to walk back in again to see if you remember.
Exactly. And that's just a natural part of aging, and it does not show that he has some mental deficiency. He absolutely does not. Plus, what he did, for them to bring it up in this way in regards to, okay, you're not in trouble for taking the documents. Well, duh. As soon as he realized that there was documents in a place that there shouldn't have been, he immediately called whoever you call and had all taken care of. Totally worked with them, said they can do it, whatever they needed to do. And that's why he didn't get in trouble. The other side is saying, they didn't treat Trump the same as they're treating Biden. No, because Trump handled it totally different. Let's talk about the person that really is in trouble for documents. It's not Biden. And I noticed they don't bring up Pence anymore. Why didn't they bring up him?
Because they closed his investigation in June of 2023, roughly when they should have closed it with Biden. There was no reason for them to drag it out for 8 months.
Exactly.
That's just ridiculous. So,
well, no, they wanted to wait till 2024 because this is the election year, and that's the only reason.
Who has her by the short and curlies? Why is he dancing to their tune? He's a DOJ, like from what I can tell, he's a DOJ career person. He's served as, he served in the military. He served as a United States attorney. I mean, he's a career DOJ guy. So why does he have an axe to grind? That's what I don't understand.
He and R is the one that's got him by the short hairs, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm going to be quiet now. I see they want me to shut up.
Yeah.
Kind of two things I want to throw on that one, and you had touched on it with Pence. If hers statement is going to be, well, we didn't want to prosecute Biden because he'd be a he's a doddering old man and he'd be a sympathetic character. Does that mean we should be prosecuting Pence? Because Pence isn't a doddering, he's sharp as a tack. And if the whole justification for not prosecuting him is that he's old and mindless, well, then Pence should be prosecuted. And Pence is not being prosecuted. They both had documents they weren't supposed to have. They both reported it upon discovery. They didn't do a conspiracy to hide the documents. So they seem to be tracking parallel and are being treated the same. Trump did everything to hide these documents, basically in a conspiracy to retain these documents. Throwing a quick spread in here on just kind of, will we hear any more? There'll be no fallout for the documents. The general feeling was a 2 of cups. So Biden, I'm going to bring it down. Biden and I think the DOJ, they agreed, they worked together, they did everything they needed to do. Biden was victorious. He's been cleared. The documents things put to rest. But he is pissed right now because of the cheap shot they just took on him. And, we've got the moon card here. We don't necessarily know why the cheap shot was taken. And I also think this is Biden and Kamala Harris. One of the things they had on CNN was they're talking about releasing a redacted version of the transcript of his interviews. And I think right now with the 7 of Cups, they're looking at the pros and cons of doing that. They're weighing do we go on the attack and defend this? Because we can either say, let's just ignore it and have it go away. But I don't think that's going to work because it's already been a Trump and right-wing talking point. So effing go after it, man. And if Trump wants to have a debate, go have a debate and run circles around that guy, assuming that Biden could out-debate Trump and run circles around him. He certainly was able to 4 years ago. Maybe things are different with Biden now where he wouldn't be as presentable or as dominating a performance. I don't know that. I wouldn't think so, but I'm not his handler, so, and I don't see him on a daily basis, so I don't know if that's the reality or not.
Yeah.
And listen, as long as we're talking about, Biden doing a good thing, I don't know if you saw it, but the S&P closed over 5,000 today, the highest it has ever been, ever.
Wow.
And that is in large part
times.
thanks to a strong economy. Thank you, Joe Biden.
Well,
Yeah,
don't think that Donald Trump is going to step up and say, "See what I did."
Yeah, exactly. I did that.
He'll take credit for it.
Yeah.
We're the only country that didn't fall into major recession after COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of,
Hello?
things were lighting up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, y'all too.
Canada too.
Did you? Really? Wow. Wow.
Canada too. I forgot about that.
Our government stepped in. Trudeau did a good job, which they're crucifying him for now, but yeah, he did what he did so that we could withstand and not have our economy fall down, and it was propped up. We were saved by that, but a lot of people don't like that. So
yeah, well, that's good. Thank you, Papa Joe.
Yeah.
Well, I did pull a couple of cards about the stupid report, and I found that legally the issue is to bed, but politically it's still out there in the ethers. And Joe is going to take a very strong stance on this. I don't know exactly what actions they are going to take, but the last card that came up for me was Judgment. So not on him, on them.
Yeah.
I think this is going to backfire big time. And another hit that I got when we first started reading this is that the Republicans, like a Jim Comer or a Jim Jordan, I mean, whatever his name, Comer, and then
James Comer.
I'm sorry?
James Comer.
It is Jim Comer. Okay.
Yeah.
I like to call him Jim. We're on a first name basis. Jim Jordan, any of those other yahoos that seem to think that they have some sort of legal understanding of our Constitution and government, which they really clearly don't. They are going to be between a rock and a hard place because they're going to start to talk shit to about Biden with this. And then they're going to get little letters in their mailboxes from a Mr. Jack Smith. And Jack Smith is not going to take kindly to any of their shenanigans. And he's going to call them out. And you know how he is. He has a little steno pad for every person. And he's writing down every single thing they do. And then he brings it into court. So they are not going to be happy at the end of the day. And I'm sure that Papa Joe would just be happy to, fill up those notebooks for him if he asked. So that's what I got. Did everybody go on this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So let's move along. Okay. Now, the chief witness against Matt Gaetz is cooperating with the House ethics investigation. So blah, blah, blah. We know all the people that are involved, blah, 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 blah. So I think, okay. So it is Mr. Greenberg, who is currently in prison, I guess,
Yes,
serving 11 years on the basically I had sex with a 17-year-old charges. And he said, his lawyer said, Mr. Greenberg has and will cooperate with any congressional request, which puts it on the record, which means that then they can, when they bring up charges, that he will also cooperate. So how soon can we expect Florida to charge Gates? And will this cause Mr. Gates any sort of chagrin to the point where he might step down from his seat in Congress? What do we think?
No, he'll
Did
never.
they talk about state charges, or are they talking about just the ethics charges?
It's just the ethics committee, but I mean, if they come up with stuff, shouldn't Florida be charging him? I mean, his partner in crime is in fucking prison now.
Right.
So shouldn't he be charged? I mean, how much money can daddy move around to keep him out of jail? And why is he doing this for a grown man? Why is his dad paying for shit when he's a grown man?
Okay.
Well, he's used to daddy paying for everything.
What's that?
He's used to daddy paying for everything.
Yeah, he is, but he's out of diapers now, or maybe he's back in diapers by now. I don't know what his, health situation is. But, come on, man. Suck it up. Put on your big boy pants. Pay your own bills.
It's a good question, Ian. Ian McGrath's asking a question. Why did the DOJ drop the case against Gates? Is it because of DeSantis and Stone being involved? I think the official reason they gave is that Joel Greenberg and the 17-year-old girl who was 17 at the time and is not 17 now were not very reliable witnesses, or they were witnesses that would be problematic on cross-examination, which means that they would poke a bunch of holes in their story or show contradictions or lies, such that the jury would probably discount anything that they said, even though Joel Greenberg is like walking hand in hand with Matt Gaetz on everything that they did, basically his wingman, for lack of a better description. And the feds don't like losing cases, so they won't take it up if they think they have even a small chance of losing. Mm-hmm. That's the official reason. Now, is there other stuff? There's probably other stuff too. I want to throw on that part.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll come back to you. Go ahead and do that. Okay, who's next? Go ahead.
I get that is Florida going to do anything about it? No, they're not. This is
terrible.
They should. They absolutely should, because what he did was wrong. But this is a case of, kind of relationships and politics over morality and all that good stuff. No, I think that he is, Gates has some good money backing him. That's daddy's strength, clearly, because he's an immature little asshole, excuse me, for entertainment purposes only. He does foolish things. He's very much like Trump. He's never been held accountable for anything. So he just complains to dad, and dad is going to take care of it. So dad has already spoken with DeSantis. They've already decided that, this isn't going to go anywhere. And the stance that they're going to take is, well, of course, Greenberg is going to offer up whatever it is that, that the prosecution might want, because he thinks he's going to get less jail time, that they're going to reduce his sentence. So you can't rely on him because he's not coming at it with clean hands. So I don't think that they're going to do anything with it. They might look at it. The ethics committee might probably send him a very strongly worded letter. But I think someone's going to have to sue him civilly, I think, in order to get anything done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead. As Marina said, blood on his hands. He's been running his mouth, so there's more people than not who know exactly what he was doing and who he was doing it with. Because let's face it, he was the one that was bringing the girly pics on the floor of the house to show off to his buddies. You know, he's got this little girl and that little girl, and yeah. In the end, I think he's gonna just end up in a deep dark hole back in the cave. They're gonna just be done with him, but how soon, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. David, you got, or
Yeah.
Cleo? Or,
Yeah, I'm not really getting any. I don't know if I'm getting an answer on Roger Stone and DeSantis. What I'm sort of looking at the DOJ, it's like they're letting him go. And they're letting him go for one of two reasons. Either they don't think they could win the case, or they've got him. And I think this might be what they're really doing. They've got another case that they're working on, and they let him go on this one because they have a bigger case that they want to win later on. They know he's guilty of stealing something. There's crookedness. There's crime that's being committed that they know, but it's almost like, okay, we're going to let this guy go because we know crimers are going to crime, and we'll just keep an eye on him and watch the weird stuff that he does. It's almost like they didn't have enough information to win this case, so turn him loose, let him get comfortable, do what he's going to do, and then when he trips up enough that they get the evidence that they need, then they go to him with that evidence and get him to flip. You know, you can go down for this crime, or you can take down the whole people. So it's almost like catch and release. They caught him, they released him, and now they're going to wait and watch what he does and who he talks to.
so do you think this other thing is the January 6th stuff?
I think it's child sex trafficking and human trafficking. That's what I've always gotten for what's going on with like Florida with DeSantis and Roger Stone and Matt Gaetz. I think.
Oh my God! So he's like Epstein.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. It'll tie in with Epstein. It ties in with all these girls that he's been with. And I think that's, you know, for all even in the comments, all the crap that Merrick Garland gets because of, you know, BS that this guy Hur does. I think the DOJ I cannot shake the feeling that the DOJ is sitting on the biggest almighty zit that has ever been on the face of the United States.
Yeah.
And everybody can see the zit and they want them to pop it. And they haven't done it yet. Why? Because it's a veritable volcano underneath that thing. And they don't have the tissue paper ready to go, and a glamour shot's coming up.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's a lousy analogy, sorry.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Cleo, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I don't really have anything to add. Everybody else has put in an awful lot of good information here, and it just floors me how the Republicans, it's just another aspect of the Republican clown show where they have people that, you know, this has nothing to do with what they're trying, what we expect to see out of the House. It has nothing to do with it. They've got all these weird, criminal, goofy, sexual predators. You know, I mean, here you got Trump, that he raped somebody, and now you're telling me that all these other guys are showing pictures of young girls in the house. You know, it's just absolutely disgusting. And whatever they said about it, I agree.
Well, I know, like Mel likes to say, when David said they're holding off for another case, that's when my psychic light bulb went off.
Yes, he's got a great
I was like, ding, 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 ding. That's what I was missing, because there was something that I kept missing on it whenever I would pull on it. That was it. There's something bigger that they're holding out for.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had thrown cards, and I'm glad I'm going after David. I'm just going to say he made sense out of my cards. So it's really great. Thanks, David, for doing the heavy lifting.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm always grateful when my guests just go ahead and do the work for me. Okay. So the next question is the prosecutors, that's Jack Smith, seek to protect witnesses in the Trump classified documents case because Judge Aileen Cannon just wants to give Trump the ability to just expose everybody. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Just let him do it. You know, well, you know, this is just the dumb and dumber. I mean, she just is doing so many dumb things. She's going to get herself thrown off this case. So the question is now, Jack Smith has already gone to her and done what we talked about with the secret meeting, just said, I'm sure you didn't mean to do this. I'm sure what you meant to do. And his papers were written exactly that way. But is he going to actually approach the 11th Circuit, or will he need to? And I think the clock is ticking. How long do we think she has before she's going to be removed?
I think he's definitely going to be doing something about it. He's into it right now. He's already put in paperwork about this. She finally has overstepped her bounds to where he could finally do something about it. He's wanted to do something. He couldn't because she didn't take enough of a risk, and now she finally has. And you know, I've always said that this case will never make it to a jury in her courtroom. Well, I didn't know exactly how that was going to happen a year ago when this came up, but now that it's out there, it's because she is definitely siding with Trump, and it's blatant to everybody. And it just can't, you know, it can't be that way. And it's also another way to delay, which that's probably, again, what's going to happen because they don't want this document case to come out before the election. So, yeah, Eileen's finally done something to put the spotlight on herself. And I think there will be repercussions. Whether she will actually be taken off the case, I'm on the fence. I don't know. She should be, but whether that'll actually happen, I don't know. But it's still more delay, and she's helping Trump with it, and it's wrong. It's wrong the way she's handling it.
Yep.
Okay, who's next?
I can go.
Oh, go ahead, Shari.
I started out with the Ace of Cups. So I feel like it's not going to be long. It's going to happen fairly quickly. But then I pulled the Queen of Wands. Whoops, where did it go? Reversed. So I'm really feeling like that the confidence that Gates feels is starting to erode. Is that who we're still reading on, right?
No, we're reading about Eileen.
We're doing on Eileen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got my names mixed up. Queen of Wands reversed. She's been feeling awfully cocky.
Yeah.
I guess it's a good way to put it.
Right.
And she's been incrementally doing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. That's coming to an end. Because then I have the Knight of Cups, which just fell on the floor. Imagine it. So that's showing that there's movement. You know, it's maybe not quite as fast as we want it to be, but it's movement. Followed by the Lovers. So this showing her tied to Trump.
Yep.
Ending with the Wheel of Fortune, which it's going to all come crashing down on her head.
Okay. Marina, what do you have?
Well, as you were reading the question, and especially when you asked about will she be removed and what time, and I heard August, and the first card that I pulled out was the Eight of Pentacles. So, yeah, I think she's gone by August. They are at this moment. They are sort of preparing, and they're deciding on the best way to approach this and to get her off. They have to be able to remove her in such a way that there is no doubt about her removal. Like there can't be any little gray areas. I think absolutely he is going to get rid of her. He's absolutely going to go to the 11th Circuit, and they are going to they're going to rule against her, and they are going to take her off the case. It's just it's just a little bit of a process. It's not going to happen as quickly as we would like it to, but in the meantime, with him talking to her and just kind of letting her know what some of the possibilities are, he's just kind of slowing her down as well and making her wonder what's going to come at her next. Because remember, she's dealing with Trump on one side, who's telling her what to do. And then she's got, Jack Smith saying, really? Is that the number you want to go with?
Exactly. That's exactly how he's talking to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. David?
Okay, so what I get with this one, I was listening to Midas Touch today, and they actually discussed this. One of the issues that people have often asked is, why is she still in the case? Why isn't he gotten her kicked off?
Yeah.
And Midas Touch keeps talking about this. She hasn't given any written orders. It's all electronic orders or something like that. So there's nothing. You have to have a written order in order to say, have your piece of paper that you can go to the appeals court and say, effed up right here, kick her off, she's incompetent. And I'm assuming what's happening is here, the Federalist Society is helping her try this case and are guiding her on how to go about slowing everything down until Trump can be elected president in November. And then the case goes away. So that's kind of the gist of why Jack Smith hasn't done anything yet. This is the first time that in this case where she's issued an order that could be overturned. It's still not a written order yet, but he is. So she basically said, yeah, you have to turn over the name of all the FBI code names and all the witnesses and their testimonies and stuff like that, so that Trump can put it out on blast, and then his supporters can go hunt down these traitors and kill them in the streets because, dear leader. And they wrote a letter back to her saying, you clearly erred on this, and we are giving you the opportunity to change your mind. So now she's between a rock and a hard place, because she's being told to do this so that she can go to Trump and say, oh, Jack Smith is now challenging my order. She went to both Jack Smith and Trump and gave him 2 weeks, or gave Team Trump 2 weeks to respond to Jack Smith's response. So she's going over here to Trump saying, we need a response on this, and you got 2 weeks to do it. And if you need more time, feel free to take more time. So you can already see the delay game is going on. But as she's getting closer and closer to the case, it's causing more and more anxiety for her, because she can't just keep giving these verbal orders. She has to have written orders at some point, and she knows the minute she puts down written orders that can be challenged in court, Jack Smith is going to go to the appeals court, and they are going to kick her off that case. I would expect that August sounds like as good a date as any to remove it. There could be like, a 4-month delay in for what it takes, again. So you could picture we're going to be at the end of February before Trump responds, which means it's going to go to March. And then there's going to be some orders, because apparently also you get really one shot at this. So you got to take your best shot. Otherwise, they just think you're a crybaby and you're not getting what you want. So you want to get her kicked off for all sorts of things. They might get 2 or 3 documents, and then they go to the appeals court, which could happen in April. And then there's a process that goes through, and then she's pulled out from the case. And by the time they get the next judge on, get people up to speed, you might very well be in Marina's August scenario for this case. But
you have to remember all the times that she is saying that all these names and information can be exposed to anybody, to everybody. And it's really dangerous. And this is Jack Smith is just like, oh my God, you want to do that? Mm-hmm. Because it puts everybody in jeopardy. So hopefully it comes about sooner than later. But I'm with you guys. Yeah, I'm thinking about the August thing too. But still, again, it's another thing. If it doesn't happen till I don't know, maybe if it happened in June, it's still not soon enough to get this case in front of the judge before November. I mean, they're still going to be screwing around with it.
So I threw some cards on this, and I just feel like she is working so hard with the Federalist Society or whoever is advising her to keep this thing on the slow and ugly. But she's not going to be able to keep doing it for long. She's really running out of excuses. Her way of avoiding censure from the 11th district in Florida is to not write up actual orders that quote, we're following this law, we're following that law. She's just scheduling things.
Yeah.
So you can't really find fault with someone who's just scheduling things. But even in that, I think Jack Smith is in some way going to be able to do this. Now, here's another little conundrum with Ms. Cannon. Her husband apparently, just for allegedly and for entertainment purposes only, is tied to the Colombian mob. I mean, it is Florida. We've all seen the movies. We know this is real life, and we know it happens every day. Okay. And the other thing is that, yes, she may have already given out information to people about these witnesses because she already knows who they are. And the other conundrum for them taking her off the case is, how do they gag her so that she doesn't release the names anyway? She is a terrible person. She is a person who wants to hurt people in the name of Trump. She's a crazy monger.
Well, and part of me is like, I don't even know if she fully realizes just what kind of danger she's
she realizes her husband works for the mob. Come on. She really totally realizes her husband, I mean, anybody who's ever had, a corner drug deal knows how the mob works. So, so I think that is another consideration. I mean, Jack Smith is no dummy. He has prosecuted people at The Hague, and he recognizes some of the really dangerous traits of the people he's dealing with now. That's why he's the person making these decisions. So I think that he will prevail, but I think that it's a very complicated game now. So where she took this case that was a very simple case that could have been prosecuted, she dragged it out to, next 100 years from now. And now it's just a big cluster F because she knows the names of these people. She's probably, her secretary or clerk knows the names of these people. She's probably hired someone who's very sympathetic to her political leanings to help her. And if they just cut her loose from the case, how many names are they going to just accidentally let out? How many names?
Well, she's also saying that Jack Smith did not give a good reason for why they shouldn't be, and why Trump shouldn't know who these people are.
And this is ridiculous. Anybody who worked on the confidential documents orders knows that nobody knows the full story of any of this. That's the only way to keep things safe. And Trump never actually, even though he was president, he never really had a security clearance. So the only thing that allows me to sleep at night, knowing that he's probably already given away half of these documents to, our enemies, is that, they already knew the documents that were stolen, and they changed all the codes and alerted all the people and, took steps to protect everybody because, his information is basically meaningless. But so I think that it remains to be seen when she will leave. But I do think sometime between June, and I'm going to say June, like late June, like the summer solstice, to the fall equinox. That's the timing that I'm going to give, which is pretty much June to late August or early September. And that's a nasty one. Okay, now let's get on to the fun one. Okay. So the fun question is, now Tucker Carlson did an interview of Vladimir Putin, for better or for worse, and he did it from Russia. What kind of an idiot is this guy? Are they going to let him come home? I mean,
good question.
I would be scared to death, honestly.
Have they come up with a Hanoi Jane nickname for Tucker Carlson?
Not yet.
If you're going to put Jane Fonda through the ringer for that, he deserves every bit of scorn that she had to endure for what she did.
He really does. So, he's still collecting his $15 million a year from Fox. So he's not hurting, except his ego is hurting because he's not in the news every night. And
Yeah.
so he did this thing, and apparently Putin walked out, and it was, very blah, blah, blah. It was just a softball interview allowing Putin to air his grievances. But my question is, will Tucker now be beholden to Putin for even more treachery and espionage? And will he survive it?
Putin is playing 3D chess and Tucker is playing checkers. And he thinks he's winning.
That's right on.
Right on, Marina. Did you hear the laugh? Did you hear the laugh in the interview? And I'm like, Tucker, control yourself. You're with the head of the Soviet or the old Soviet Union of Russia. You're in danger.
No, Hillary Clinton was absolutely right when she was interviewed and asked about that. And she said, well, he is a useful idiot. And that's exactly what he is. Useful idiot. And that's why Putin gave him the interview, because he knew that, whatever he said, two things are guaranteed to happen. Tucker Carlson was going to get that look on his face, and he was going to agree with everything that Putin said. So,
he just went in there because Vladimir Putin agreed to the interview because that guy is such a knucklehead that he knows that he's with Trump, and anything that has to do with Trump, that's what Putin wants. He wants Trump to be president. He's been pushing for it. We've had all this Russian interference, whether you know it or not. It's constantly there on a daily basis. And to have somebody like Tucker Carlson go over there and do an interview with him, it was like a no-brainer. I'm sure Vladimir Putin was just laughing his ass off. Okay, I get to say my little piece, which was, again, just nothing but propaganda.
Yep.
And Tucker Carlson is like getting his he's getting his 2 cents for backing up Trump, and then Putin wants Trump back in there so that the United States will quit giving money to Ukraine, quit helping Ukraine, just get them out of there. If the United States hadn't interfered, he would have had taken over by now, and and he's frustrated with that end of it. But Tucker Carlson, just another puppet. That's a Putin puppet.
Putin has had a hard-on to demolish the United States for a very, very long time. Ever since he was in the KGB as a young trainee, he has had it out for the USA. And why? I don't know. I don't know if something happened to him when he was younger that involved an American, or if the KGB was just that damn effective in brainwashing him.
Or was he dropped on his head as a baby?
Who knows? I mean, obviously they didn't throw him out the window, so he's still here. I look at Tucker and I see the fairy. Not as in fairy gay, but is in fairy, airy, head in the clouds, and
useful idiot,
smart, and he doesn't know diddly squat.
Yeah.
Basically, Putin just had him on so he could blow smoke up his ass. And just say, okay, here, let's do your interview, ask your questions. I'll tell you what I want you to know, and we'll let it go at that. And it's just going to be a long road, a long, dark tunnel to, if we're lucky, jail. But I don't know. I don't know how well Tucker has covered his own backside.
Okay, thank you. David, you haven't gone, right?
I haven't gone yet. I did a much bigger spread for this one. What I'm getting is Tucker is feeling left out of the process ever since getting dropped from Fox News. He's not been, he's losing followers, he's losing influence, and he's trying to get that influence back. And so he hasn't been complaining about it that much, but he's been kind of scheming like, okay, how can I get this influence back? And he's come up with an idea and he's kept it kind of quiet. But underneath it is the Ace of Swords. So this is kind of like, to him, his new calling. What's his new calling going to be? He's trying to set himself up as like the next Barbara Walters or Tom Brokaw, or somebody who can go talk with world leaders and conduct serious interviews and be that hard-hitting reporter. In the past, I got the Queen of Wands. To me, this is him being Putin's mouthpiece. Russian, he echoes Russian talking points. He's basically been a useful idiot for Russia, but he has a relationship with them. So the thought that he could get a Putin interview, that no Western journalist has been able to interview Putin or has wanted to interview him for the last couple of years, is going to launch him into prominence. So he went ahead, he got the interview scheduled, the interview happened, it's opening day, and the overarching energy is he wants the money and the accolades and the stuff like that coming in. He wants his Pulitzer Prize moment for this. The problem is that all Putin did in this was propagate Russian talking points and propaganda. Both Fifth Column just talked about this one too, that what the GOP's been telling the right about Putin is not what Putin told Tucker Carlson, who the GOP on the right are going to be watching as his audience. So, like, they talk about, why did Russia invade Ukraine? And the GOP talking point is because of NATO expansion. But Putin gave a 20-minute historical diatribe on Ukraine and Russia, and not once did it ever come up that it was because of NATO expansion. So, not that Tucker Carlson's listeners are going to look at the data critically, but it's a mixed bag here. And Tucker might be fooling himself into thinking that interview went great, because he came out thinking he's a star. And like, okay, is this a rising star or a falling star? So I threw 3 cards on that. I got the 2 of Cups. There's agreements. King of Swords, which is why I'm thinking he thinks he's now going to be this hard-hitting interviewer. And the Knight of Cups, where he has softball interviews and he's reaching out to go for people. So I do think that on some short-term basis, he's going to have some success. I would expect like Viktor Orban in Hungary and other places where you have authoritarian, probably would go to Turkey to interview Erdogan or something like that, or Netanyahu. He's going to go hit the who's who of extremist right-wing dictators and do interviews with them to be fair and balanced, just ask questions. I think that's his plan. I think it'll work on the short term, but this is one of those things that just isn't going to age well. That's the gut feeling I have. Is I hate saying, he's going to do great, because I want to say, he's going to burn in hell for everything he's done. But I actually do think it'll help him on the short term, but it's not going to age well in the long term.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. My big thing on the cards that I threw is that I don't think this was Tucker's idea. I think he was summoned to Russia. I think he was told that he was going to do an interview. I think he was told, we can help your career. We can help you do these interviews with all sorts of world leaders, my kind of world leaders. So I do think you're going to see him go on a tour. Now, let's hope that Tucker actually is able to come home. This was my original worry, is that he's going to get stuck in one of these authoritarian countries and not be able to come home because he's an asshole and he's going to break some kind of protocol or rule, and he's going to insult somebody, and that dictator is going to say, throw him in jail. I worry about that, because I see that he really thinks that he's in on the game. He really thinks that he knows what's going on and that this is his decision. He thinks that he's doing this big plot with Vlad and that, you know, it's gonna put some money in his pocket. Somebody's gonna put money in his pocket. Tucker doesn't actually need the money. He needs the accolades. He needs the ego gratification. And in the end, I think he's going to be fighting for his life. I don't think this is a fun look for him. I could see him going to interview Xi Jinping or Kim Jong-un and not being able to come home. I'm serious. I think that it'll be a long time before Tucker Carlson
gets that
being comfortably in his own bed. Go ahead.
He gets that stupid ass look on his face, you know, that I think he thinks it makes him look intelligent, and he doesn't realize it makes him look like an idiot.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I think his role model here is Geraldo Rivera.
Yes.
Do we remember opening that vault?
Yeah.
Wasn't a good look.
Oh, right.
Wasn't a good look for Geraldo. And I think that Tucker's, if he's lucky, going the same way. But I think you'll see if he actually does a few of these interviews over the next year or so, watch for physical changes in his appearance. Because I think what he's going to be doing is going to scare the shit out of him.
You know, what Rose Blair says over here, she goes, 45 needs money from Putin. And as soon as I read that, I thought, yes, that's what's going on. Send Tucker over there to appease Putin to get some money to Trump.
But Tucker hates Trump. He hates him.
Yeah.
Yes, he hates him. He would only go over there if he was commanded to go over there. He might come up with that idea, but I think honestly, even just going over, I think that scares him a little bit because he knows what kind of a maniac Vladimir Putin is. He knows that if you drink the wrong cup of tea, you're done for. Or if you sit too close to a window, you're done for.
Why go at all?
Well, why go at all? Exactly. That's what I'm worried about.
I think she's got a point that, yes, Trump needs the money. And so they would use somebody like Tucker Carlson, who's like right now in limbo, and he's already gotten money. He's got money coming in. He's got no need to go over there to get money for himself.
No.
So, but Trump needs the money, and that would be the perfect person to send over there, especially now that you tell me he doesn't like Trump.
Doesn't like Trump. And also, Russia is a very poor country right now. The only people who have money are the oligarchs. So you don't have to go to Russia to get the money from there. I think Trump would get the money easier from Saudi Arabia or somebody in the Middle East. I think it would be
I'm not saying he's going to stop with one, please. He's going to go wherever he can get the money. But don't think just because Russia has a low money problem, Putin does not. Putin's got all he needs.
Right. But well, you may be right.
And when he needs them more, somebody takes a leap out the window.
But does Putin really still think that Trump is a viable candidate for president?
Absolutely he does. Absolutely he does.
Okay. I don't think he does, but that's just me. Okay.
One last little thing. I think if Tucker gets stuck in any country, it's going to be North Korea, because that's the one country where you're going to be called a Western spy, thrown in a prison, and then after you've sat there for a while, not that Russia has done this with reporters and WNBA players, but I think between Kim Jong-un saying that Trump owes him like $10 million and stuff like that, we'll just throw him in prison for a while until you guys pay what's owed to me, and then we'll set him free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a hostage. He'll be a hostage. It'll be very interesting
with all of his parts.
It'd be very interesting to see what happens to Tucker Carlson and what color his hair turns over the next year.
Yes,
I really do not see good things in his future. I really don't. Okay, so we all read on that, right? Okay, so let's see.
Go to the Supreme Court one.
Yeah, that's the next one. That's the next one. So, good day for Trump and his lawyers. You may have all been listening in on the live stream of the Supreme Court and all the questioning, especially the brilliant Ketanji Brown Jackson, and Elena Kagan was also brilliant. But
Sotomayor was ripping them a new one too.
I have this split up into two parts. So let's see. I'll do the first one. So they do seem like they're really kind of trying to put them through the ringer, and so it does appear that they will vote in favor of keeping Trump on the ballot.
Yep.
But if they do that, what will the backlash to SCOTUS be? And will this open the door to investigations into some of the justices?
Yay. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
This is, they are in a tough position, because if they say their question is did he actually do an insurrection? Was he a part of the insurrection? So if they decide that he was, they have got to support the Constitution of the United States, the 14th Amendment. If they say he wasn't, they've got to say, well, then what was it? And everybody is going to question that, because everybody in the world has seen the video. You know that it absolutely was an insurrection. So, and also his Trump's attorneys could not explain to the court, because they asked them, they said, okay, so what about this was not an insurrection? And they said, well, no, it was a riot. Well, that's not an answer. That does not support that. They had no supportive anything to back up those that it was a riot. So they're going to have a real tough time. And it was the Jackson Brown, Justice Brown, who is asking the right questions about this. I noticed the others are just kind of keeping quiet right now, but she's asking, what is it about this that was not an insurrection? And he gave a brief answer, and she said, okay, thank you. No more questions. In other words, she's not buying it. That is not a good response. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to go, because really they're in between a rock and a hard place.
They are, and a lot of those justices are what do they call them? Originalists, where they really take the word of the Constitution as sacred, but they were all dancing around the mulberry bush when it came to officer of the government. Of course he's an officer of the government. He's the officer of the government.
Exactly.
No matter what in the hell else is said in that amendment, he is the officer. Of course he took an oath to the Constitution and to support it. How in any universe can you think that that's not true? But that's what they're probably going to hang it on. And I think they're going to look like crap. Anyway, go ahead.
And they're also saying, that it's up to the voters. Now, I have found that argument to be totally asinine. And the fact that leaving it up to the voters, first of all, if they take him off the ballot, that doesn't mean that you can't write his name in. The voters still have that option of writing his name in.
Yeah.
But then they're also thinking, I guess they're thinking in the long run, how will this affect future presidential votes and stuff? But, no, please. It was an insurrection. They should, if they don't support the Constitution, and if they want to nitpick about it, I think it's just very obvious what the 14th Amendment says. It's brief, it's simple, it's concise, and there's really no question what they meant. And if they want to go back in time and say, well, that's an old law, who the hell cares? They don't want somebody that tried to overturn the government, which is what Trump did. And he interfered in the peaceful transfer of power. I mean, if that's not an insurrection, I don't know what is. The court has to recognize that. But then again, if they do that, they change a lot of things. But on the other hand, this nonsense about let the voters decide, I think they could do something about let the states decide, because they might want to wimp out of the whole thing. And I would go for that too. I'd go for that over not doing anything. Let the states decide, because there's been over 30 states that took this to their own courts and wanted to have something done with it, but couldn't do anything until after the Supreme Court made a decision about this insurrection.
And can I just remind everybody that when Alito wrote the overturning of Roe v. Wade, he based it on a law from 1826.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the other thing. You're dealing with the court that has overturned Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
And now this comes up.
Yeah.
Mark my words, as time goes by, regardless of how this turns out, there is going to be some changes to the Supreme Court. I see a time where they're going to say, wait a minute, what about this lifetime thing on the court? Is this really the best way to handle it? No, it is not. Why is it that every judge in every state that I know of has to be voted in? These people should be voted in by the people as well, because that they, instead of just being assigned a post and say, okay, you get it for life, they should change some things with that. Whether they want to keep it that way,
should have to follow the moral and ethics clauses that other judges in lower courts have to follow.
But have you said what you think the backlash is going to be, Cleo?
The backlash of this particular incident?
You know that they're gonna put out an opinion that is just a cluster F. It's not going to be the right thing. They're going to screw it up every way, upside down, until Tuesday and Wednesday. And what we're going to be left with is the cleanup of that. And I think it's going to look terrible on them. I think it's going to come back on them.
Terrible for the country. If you have a Supreme Court that cannot abide by the law themselves, not enforce the Constitution, what the hell do you have?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So
you can't be a constitutionalist and choose and pick what parts of the Constitution you want to go by. You're either all in or you're all out. You can't cherry pick. I think that they will definitely be judged. They're going to, I think what they're going to do is send it back, and they're going to say, no, the states can decide. Each individual state can decide. That way they don't have to look like, that the bad guy in the room, which they're going to end up looking anyway. They're going to be judged on that. And I think this is going to shine a light on the Supreme Court, a lot shinier than what they have now. And I think that there are some people that are on the Supreme Court that are going to try to find ways to get out. They know that their time is limited, and they're going to want to make it appear as if their choice to leave. So I think we might be hearing very soon, if not this year, next year, about certain judges having heart conditions or having health issues that require them to spend a little more time with their family, and after years of devoted service and so on and so forth. So
I think you're right, Marina. I think you're totally right.
All right.
Well, I pull the Chariot. And so whatever's going to happen, they're not going to drag their feet on it. There's going to be a decision made here, whether it's to take it or to ignore it and send it back down to the states. And then I pull the Wheel of Fortune. So they, I really don't know which side is going to go to for who's that's going to be the best for. But if we're lucky, it'll be the best for what it is for the country and not for one select person. Because in the end, it came down to justice. And that's something that they are sorely missing right now, is justice. I mean, the women on the court asked some really good questions. Even Justice Stepford Wife knocked me out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I was like, holy crap, did she flip sides? I mean, she asked some good questions, but all the women did. The men asked, no offense, David, but some really asinine questions.
None taken. Call it like you see it.
The men, by and large, are the older faction of the court.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like when somebody asked Ruth Bader Ginsburg years ago, when would there be enough women on the court to satisfy her? And she said, all of them.
Yeah.
And they were shocked with all women. And she says, well, there's been all men, and you didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Why would you have a problem with all women on the court?
Yeah. All right. Okay, David, what do you got?
I pulled some card, another big one for this one. I got the 5 of coins as a signifier, so the being cast out. And there's a couple ways you can look at this. I think the court doesn't want to disenfranchise the voters in this election. And It's crossed by the death card, by the way. So there's all sorts of things with this. I think the court's going to try and sell this that they don't want to disenfranchise voters. They want the voters to pick who their leader is going to be. And the reason why they want the voters to pick it is if Trump loses, this starts gutting any, from a spiritual sense or whatever, from a high level sense, if Trump runs and loses, he can't say it's election interference because the Supreme Court kept him on it. He didn't lose because Colorado, got him off the ballot or something. He lost because he lost, and he just needs to go away. That's what the cards are showing here. I think the other thing, though, with this is that in the court of public opinion, and probably from all 5 people here, the Supreme Court looks compromised and weak. And for, what they say, what about pornography or something like that, you know it when you see it. An insurrection, you know it when you see it. Call it a riot, okay, fine. You want to call it a riot? A riot that interrupts a government process is an insurrection. Whether it's organized or not doesn't matter. What's the purpose of the riot? So I think what's going to happen here, after everything's said and done, I've got a Knight of Cups. There's going to be offers made to the Emperor, folks on the Supreme Court, to step down. And I think Marina was talking about this one. And I see 5 of Cups. Maybe 3 of 5 people they go to, they start doing investigations on. They give them the opportunity to step down, and then it ends with the 8 of Cups with people leaving. Burden card underneath all of it. So I think what's going to happen here is the American people will get to vote for the candidate of their choice, and we live with the consequences. And then because of this, there's going to be changes to the Supreme Court, maybe in how long new court members stay on the court. Other court members, certainly when they say they're originalists, or Roe v. Wade is decided case law, and then they say they're going to remove Roe v. Wade from case law, that apparently you lied during your interview, and maybe we need to reconfirm you in a Democrat-controlled Senate and a Democrat-controlled House. Or I think it's the Senate that does it, but it's like, do you want to do that? You want to try again with the Democrats in charge of the Senate? They're going to roast your asses alive. And for 3 of them, Clarence Thomas, Kavanaugh, and probably Gorsuch or Alito, they're going to say, probably Alito, and say, bye, no, don't need to go through that. Then they can go hang out with their billionaire friends and get all the money that they want, and find out that money's dried up because they no longer are Supreme Court justices and don't have influence.
Yep. So I have my cards, you guys already said it, so I'm not going to read them. So I have 2 more questions. So one is, I hope a quick one. Will any of the states, say SCOTUS says, yeah, it's just up to the states, or what if they say, no, Trump has to be on the ballot? Will any of the states ignore that ruling? Take him off the ballot, like Colorado and Maine and the other 14 or 17 states that have already got their cases pending.
See, my first reaction is like, that would be the Florida, Texas move. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Except that they do want Trump on
exactly,
the ballot,
but that would be like Florida, Texas, Alabama, the FU, stick it to the government type move. Yeah. And I don't see the blue states doing that, but let's see. Because I don't know who's got that attitude.
They are hopping mad. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, think of it as a subpoena from the Supreme Court, and you go, yeah, no, I'm doing my hair that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any states kicking him off. I get the Chariot as the signifier card with the Strength card underneath. So it's like the election will go on. The show must go on type stuff. Even though they know there's shenanigans up with this and it involves Trump, it's, it's kind of like it's the messaging. How would they even begin to pull the states out of it? And instead, they might do other things to undermine Trump rather than kick him off. there might be some stuff that they do that undermines them. I don't know what sneaky tactics that might be, and that could be what this is. It's like, okay, fine, we're going to go ahead with the election, but you think the Republicans are the only ones that can cheat and do stuff? And that opens up a brain cell. Do you all remember in 2015, 2016? I think the Republicans are saying how the Democrats were doing all these voter suppression tricks, or I'm having deja vu. So I don't know if that actually happened back in 2015 or if I'm now thinking that's what's going to happen. But they were like basically accusing the Democrats of undermining Trump every way they could, which of course is projection to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But I think the Democrats might pull back a little bit on this.
Yeah. I think one thing they could do is when they print their ballots, they could say the Colorado Supreme Court determined that Donald Trump was not eligible to be on the ballot in the decision, blah, 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 blah. Vote your conscience. They could put a statement right on the ballot. Colorado, Maine, all the states that don't want to have him on there, and just say, we found him to be an insurrectionist, but according to the Supreme Court, he's supposed to be on the ballot, but vote your conscience.
No.
Having your state attorney general say that announcement, it's like California is going to keep Donald Trump on the ballot, even though we understand that he has committed insurrection and has given aid and comfort to insurrectionists. We are keeping him on the ballot so that you can decide yourself. It would be exactly like that, Colleen.
Yeah.
That's that backhanded. Yeah, we'll let him stay on here.
Yeah, let him stay, but with this like a cigarette warning on the ballot.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next? I gotta pick up a card.
Okay, I think that makes my cards make sense, because I was trying to figure out how it makes sense. I start off with the Six of Pentacles, which is kind of like letting the states will determine how they're going to get things done. They have been kind of hampered in what they can do, so that is one way to absolutely to get around it, or even to have a blank spot and say, Supreme Court said we should have him on the ballot. If you want to vote for him, write his name here, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a way. It's kind of abiding by the letter of the order, not necessarily, or abiding by the letter, not the spirit. You know what I mean?
Not the intention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If this had happened with any other president, which it has never happened, but if it had with any other president, they would just do the right thing and, use the 14th Amendment, take him off the ballot, take him out of the picture. But with this Trump thing, it is just, I keep saying you're going to see things happen that you've never seen before. Yeah. And that's just an example of that. And I think that Trump himself, like, let's say that they did say, well, you can't be on the ballot. He would work around it and he would just totally blow it off. Just like he's trying to do up in New York, and with all, with the charges where he's going to have to pay $83.3 million, or he's going to have to pay $350 million. I'm just waiting. I mean, that kind of stuff could probably happen way before November. And what they could end up doing is seizing his buildings, seizing all his real estate, seizing his bank account. Now, if that happens, there goes his money to continue to campaign. So he might just be running into all kinds of other trouble trying to keep his campaign going.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that this answers the question about why Trump is so hell-bent on determining who runs the RNC, because if he has control of the RNC, he'll just have them print up his own ballots for those states and submit them as if they're real. Why not?
The RNC doesn't print out ballots, but they're the ones who would be choosing the electors and the delegates and
you're right. You're right.
Them, basically.
Yeah, which is tantamount to just putting his name on every
Yeah.
ballot and saying that all these people voted for him. So my other Sherry, you went, right? Did you go?
I don't think so. I didn't. Sorry, I was having a knee spasm really bad. I kind of zoned out on everybody for a minute.
Okay. Do you have something?
I just took a pain pill, so I'm just waiting for it to kick in, and for the spasm to stop. But I'm cool. I think the main thing with no, I lost it. It was there.
Okay,
And
we'll have another question,
Yeah.
similar topic. So if the Supreme Court really comes up with I'm just going to say it, with a dick move on this, because I have a feeling they're just going to be dicks about it. Is this okay? And then we get a few of them thrown off, right? Or taken out, or they have to leave or whatever. If there's any taint on their reputation, would that and this case decision, would this allow us to reopen the decision and rehear that decision because it wasn't right, because the person like Clarence Thomas shouldn't even be listening to the case because he should be recused, and every other case that he was on for the last 5 years that had anything to do with January, or 3 years that had anything to do with January, he shouldn't have been a part of that. So would we be able to reopen some of those cases and rehear them, especially this thing about the 14th Amendment? Because I think it would be very healing for the country for us to get the Supreme Court to rule according to the Constitution. That's what I think. So
I think you're right, and I think it will happen, but or could happen, but not in time. Not nearly in time.
No. This will be way after the election.
Yeah,
way after the election, because there's no time. I mean, we're talking about this.
I agree with you. I think that's what I said earlier, that is the kind of thing that's going to happen, that we're going to see these people looking at how we do this thing with the judges and how they're assigned to be a judge for life, that everybody it's going to be revamped. You know, it may still be the president saying, this is the people that I think you should look at, and then there'll be a group of people that decide it. But I think the time limit, I think that they need to revisit, after say 3 or 4 years, revisit that judge and go through some things and decide, do you think that they should still be on the panel? I mean, it's just to just take all these, I know it's worked for a long time, but it's not working now. And to have it also, that it's so politicized. Why in the hell is the court so politicized? It should not be.
Republicans, because the Republicans have been working on making it that way for the last 50 years.
Well, that's a big problem. It should absolutely not be that way. So yes, I totally agree. Something will happen in the future. Won't help us at all right now. Won't help us this year.
Yeah.
No, but it will in the future. It will.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I remember when I was in sales and I was doing corporate foreign exchange, because I was dealing and trading in money, I had to be very aware of all kinds of compliance rules that applied not only to the law, but to my company as well. I had to be recertified once a year. I had to take a test and I had to pass that test. And the day before the test, I could trade. The day of the test, I was not allowed to trade until I passed that exam.
Oh my God.
I failed the exam. I could not do any trading until the next time it came up and I could retake the test. So that is just something that you anticipate in a lot of companies. You're going to have a performance review. You're going to have all kinds of things that you have to go through in order to justify why you are being kept in your position.
Yeah.
I don't see this as being any different. That you receive an appointment. All right. You are appointed to the Supreme Court. Like you say, Cleo, for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, your appointment will be reviewed based on your knowledge of law, based on your decisions, based on, your moral character, to make sure that you're still upstanding, that you have kept up with education when it comes to law and all that kind of stuff. If you pass, then you get another 5-year contract, and you can, maximum 20 years on the Supreme Court. After the 4th one, that's it. You're retired. Someone else takes your place.
Yeah, gold watch, move on. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
I think it's coming, and it is one of the things that they're going to be looking at. I get the Star and the 3 of Swords, and that tells me, 3 of the judges are going to be gone, and they're going to be very, very heartbroken, and it's going to come in fast and furious when it does.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't actually draw anything because I started hearing. The first thing I was told was that when it comes to prior cases that have been decided, it's going to depend on how that particular justice leaves the court as to whether if that case has to be relitigated or not.
Mm-hmm.
So if a justice is asked to leave or decides to leave under duress, let's say, because of shenanigans or family shenanigans or whatever, then that's something that you're going to have. You're going to have people who were decided against. You're going to have them now raising a stink, wanting to know, well, how can this be held up if so-and-so was asked to leave the court because they were incompetent or they were taking bribes or whatever the case may be. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila.
Sheila, thank you for joining us.
Sorry, Shari, I didn't mean to interrupt while you were
That's
talking.
okay. That's okay.
And can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Good.
I'm in my hotel. Sorry for the mess on the bed. But anyways, I'm messy.
That's all right.
Here. Hi, everyone. I think I know everyone. David, have I ever met you?
I don't know if we've met, Sheila. Nice to meet you.
Hi, David.
David, Sheila, David.
I just thought, I know you guys are probably almost done, but I thought, I think I could jump on and just say hello. And
yes. Oh, yeah.
I was invited.
That's perfect. Yeah, we're on our last question, but yeah, welcome. Very nice.
There
to
you
see
go.
you.
I'll just sit here and wait and just enjoy.
Okay. Okay. David, did you go?
Not yet.
Okay. Go ahead.
What I see as the fallout of all this is temperance with the Page of Sword underneath it. So I think the fallout from this is that when it's all said and done, the Supreme Court is going to go back and revisit cases, but it's going to be very specific cases that they look at. And the cases that they look at are going to be cases where there was a conflict of interest with the justices due to money. Marina was seeing 3 justices, 3 of Swords. I'm getting that same card in the Fool card. So it's like for instance, Roe v. Wade. Will they revisit that one? They may not. They probably won't revisit that one. That'll just be another case that comes up. But if there was a case where, like, Citizens United may not be the best example, but there's a case where they say Clarence Thomas had a conflict of interest because he got money from it, or he wasn't declaring money. They'll look, it's like, we had 3 justices that ruled on this case. It made a difference whether this case got passed or failed. So let's relitigate that. We'll stay whatever that is. We'll put it on the docket, and we're going to hear oral arguments and then revisit that again. This time with the proper number of justices that are unbiased, or they could even go more extreme. I doubt it, but they can go more extreme and overturn it, saying, this would have, if we disqualify these justices, it'd be, 4-2 in support instead of a 5-4 loss. But somehow I think they'd want to they'd want to take it back and basically do a do-over.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
agree.
I think.
I think anything where they should have recused and they didn't, they had a conflict, but they didn't admit it. Yeah, I think that those would be the specific ones that they rehear. And
Yeah.
I think, I believe we have 13 districts in our country. We should have 13 Supreme Justices. I mean,
That's why we have 9 justices now, because they had upped the amount of courts to 9 circuit courts. And so they added the extra justices, so there was a justice for each court. Now we have, what is it, 13?
13.
So,
13.
There should be 13 justices.
And also
Elections have consequences.
and on the lifetime appointment, they decided that when people were lucky to live past the age of 55.
Yeah.
That was a big deal to live past 55. People live to like 100 now. So if you put them on there for life, you just have these sad old bag of bones sitting on the bench, who are like, is it time for the blue light special? I mean, come on. Come on, you gotta let these people go, let them go to their happy place and get somebody who's excited about, making the arguments, to make the arguments. Cause these people they're just too old. Mitch McConnell, please go take a vacation. You are too old. You're sick. Enjoy 5 minutes with your family, okay, before it happens, because it's happening, baby. All right. Well, does anybody have anything else to add before we say our au revoirs? We're good. We
Just glad Sheila made it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even for a minute. It's nice to have you here.
I'm like, oh, let me get in there real quick.
Oh, that's great. That's devotion, man. I love that. That's fantastic.
Well, I'm always grateful when somebody invites me, and I think it's how can I put this? Gratitude when, to show up, right? And so I was really feeling really bad that I wasn't able to be here. And so I always want you guys to know that I am really grateful when I'm invited. So
that's really sweet.
You're welcome on any of our channels at any time.
I'm going to have you all on mine. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a political party is what I'm going to call it.
Nice.
Nice.
Very
that
good.
Works.
Very good.
For it.
Yep. So get that invitation out.
Oh, that's great. I look forward to that. That'll be wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Sheila, for showing up, even if it was at the very end. At least you showed up. That's awesome. So, Shari, thank you for helping me with the hosting duties. Marina, very nice to see you. My sister, you know how much I love you. Sheila, love, love, love you. David, thank you so much for coming back. I'm glad we didn't scare you last time. And
he's a brave man to take on this much.
He is.
Feminine.
Feminine energy. Yeah. So, and the people in the chat, I gotta say, now I think it was Ian McGrath that reminded me about the Colombian connection for Ms. Cannon or Judge Cannon, whatever you call her. So I forgot to give them credit for that. So I wanted to mention that. And everybody, thank you for watching. And I'm so appreciative of everybody coming out on a Friday night to play with me. This is my favorite game to play, PoliTarology, and I hope it's becoming your favorite game too. So that's what I have to say about all of this. And with that, I'm going to say good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Do my little thing here. Here we